The Te Tūroa framework is a continuation, I guess, of a concept that we had developed inside the taku taimona negotiations, which some people will be familiar with, but it's now sort of morphed and taken on a new name and a new feel and much greater coverage. So in the taku taimona negotiations, some people will remember we had an environmental covenant that was to overlay the rohe moana, and it would set the tone and the values and the tikanga and the kawa for how people would act within that space. The Te Tūroa framework does the same thing, but now it's not just limited to the rohe moana, it also goes inland. So the Te Tūroa framework will go from the boundaries at the watershed of the Raukumara right down and out to sea. It is a series of arrangements included in that Te Tūroa framework that then set the values and the worldview and the tikanga for how we want those areas are managed or interacted with. It involves the Bay of Plenty Regional Council, the Apanui District Council and the Gisborne District Council. So ko hopungia rātou I raro I tēnā korowai o Te Tūroa framework. So it starts off with a statement of Te Whānau Apanui values and then comes through into local authority agreements, again influencing and setting the tone about how we want Te Tūroa respected and interacted with in our tribal territory. What it means then is that the councils and the local authorities need to turn around and align their plans with the Te Tūroa framework as it's been developed, which is quite a high legal threshold for the councils. People have asked me along the way whether it's akin to environmental management plans. Some people that have worked in RMA spaces, Resource Management Act spaces, will know about iwi management plans. This is, I would describe it as kind of an iwi management plan on steroids, because it requires the other parties to do quite a bit more than they had to do with environmental management plans, which was just kind of take them into account. Here, the local planning documents need to align themselves with the Te Tūroa framework as it's been developed by the iwi. There would be consistency required by the Bay of Plenty Regional Policy Statement to ensure that, again, those two things become aligned. And there's participation arrangements throughout the Te Tūroa framework, which means that Apanui gets representation and voice into spaces where before we haven't necessarily had those hardwired in, and we've sort of fought, I guess, to have our voice inside certain spaces. Now Te Tūroa framework creates those as standing positions that we can take and participate in throughout the regulation and management of Te Tūroa in our tribal territory.